Hey everybody, it's Lori with Live Inspired. I am so excited to be doing this video with you right now. I have been away for quite some time, and that is because I received this prompting, as I often do, to take a step back, and I've learned to do that no matter what I think it might cost me, but I've learned to take a step back when I'm told to do so, and I'm glad that I did, because as always, so much more comes out of it than I could have possibly ever imagined to get myself ready and prepared for what is going to be happening going forward, which there's some exciting, wonderful things going on that I want to tell you some of that at the end of this video. So please stay tuned for that, or watch my page to be up to date on what's happening with me this year and in the upcoming months. Some really great things are happening, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm glad that I took that time. But I'm so glad to be back because so much happened, so much expansion. I have so much I want to share with you and so much that I want to pour out. But right now, what I want to talk to you about is dealing with your shadow side, dealing with your shadow self. And you know, those words have kind of become buzzwords over the last year or two lately, and with good reason, because during that time we have seen the shadow side of humanity come to the fore. We're seeing things about humanity that we thought perhaps were hidden, that need to be healed and transmuted so that we can be more of a collective wholeness, that we can heal at a collective level. So since this is happening on a global level, on a collective level, it's also happening on an individual level. That's just how it works. So you may have been experiencing lately yourself saying and doing and thinking things that you're like, I can't believe I acted that way. I can't believe I said that thing. I can't believe I'm thinking this thought. And these are aspects of your shadow self. But what exactly does it even mean, your shadow self or your shadow side? Well, really what it is these are behaviors, thoughts, actions, reactions that are coming out of our reactionary brain. They're coming out of the deep subconscious part of our psyche, and they can cause us to behave in ways and react without even thinking about it in ways that are less than favorable, less than lovely, or you might say ugly. So those are the things that are our shadow self. These are things that we probably have very often avoided. I call them things in the basement, like they're in the deep, dark part of the basement, the deepest part of our psyche and our soul level healing. They're down there, and we've not wanted to look at them. We don't want to deal with it. And now we're in a time where those things are starting to come to the surface. And it's actually a beautiful thing, actually, because now that they're coming to the surface, we have an opportunity to consciously, they're coming into our conscious awareness. You can't do with anything unless it comes there first. So now that it's coming into our conscious awareness, we can now make a conscious choice about what we want to do with it. And that, I've learned, is a beautiful thing. I've learned to get excited when these things happen, because I know that once it's in my awareness, I can then consciously choose what I'm going to do with it so that I can heal and transmute that and turn it into something beautiful and provide more expansion for me to be the truest part of who I am, which is universal divine love consciousness. That's what we all are, and that's what we're all working back to, whether we realize it or not. So the shadow side of ourself is that. It's that dark part that reacts and comes out at times that may cause us to feel embarrassed or ashamed or guilt or judgment. So the question is, then why do we want to even look at that? Why do we want to deal with this shadow side that is so unpleasant and so something that we typically don't even want to look at? Well, there's a couple of reasons. And the first one is what I said before, the guilt and the shame and the judgment that we carry. See, we have been trained in this culture in particular to feel guilt, shame, and judgment anytime we do anything or behave in a way that is less than favorable, or that doesn't line up with the trueness of who we are, if we understand what that is, or that doesn't meet the conception of what we think we're supposed to be. We can carry shame, guilt, and judgment. And I'm here to tell you that shame, guilt, and judgment won't do anything for you but keep you bound. That's all it will do. It will keep you bound. It serves no other purpose for you. There's a difference between, that's not to say that you're not responsible, right? There's a difference between being responsible and having guilt, shame, and judgment. The word responsible means having the ability to respond. When something comes up into your conscious awareness, it allows you the ability to respond to it. When you're in guilt, shame, and judgment, your tendency is going to be to react, not to respond. It's not going to be your responsibility. You're not going to be in responsibility. You're not going to be able to respond. You're just going to react because you're judging yourself. You're feeling guilt and shame. So that is one reason why we want to be able to deal with this shadow side of ourselves. Because as long as we're operating out of a reactionary guilt and shame and judgment framework, we will continue to behave in the same ways. And here's the trick to that as well, is that when we are having judgment towards ourselves, we will then exercise judgment towards others. So here's how it works. We say or do something that we don't care for, and we try to push it out of our awareness. So what happens is we encounter someone else who behaves in a similar fashion, and we may not even be aware of this, but what we will do subconsciously is project judgment onto that person. And when we're judging them for what's being mirrored back to us about ourselves, then we're judging ourselves. The manner in which you judge, so will you be judged. So as you are judging that other person, it is coming back to you, you're judging yourself, you're judging somebody else, it's coming back to you, you're judging yourself, and it becomes this vicious cycle. And it again keeps you stuck where you are, which doesn't provide room for healing. It doesn't allow you to be the trueness of who you are. So there is another reason why, as you learn to deal with your own shadow self, it allows you to be able to provide space and room for others to allow their shadow self to come to the surface, so that when and if they're ready, they're able to deal with theirs. And that's a beautiful thing, because we're all are wanting to be able to, we want everybody to be able to deal with this so that we can all collectively deal with this shadow side that has come to the fore right now. So those are the reasons why, some of the reasons why you're going to want to deal with your shadow self. So then the question is, how? How do we deal with this? Well, my recommendation always is to embrace it, to just accept it. That doesn't mean that you allow it to continue. Again, we have the responsibility now that it's in our awareness to be able to do something with it. But before we can even do that, we've got to be able to acknowledge it and to accept it, embrace it, take it in, surround yourself in all that you are, good and bad, in unconditional loving kindness, unconditional love. Unconditional love starts with yourself first. As you're able to exercise unconditional love towards yourself, it becomes much, much easier to exercise that love towards other people. But it starts with yourself first. So whatever it is, it's painful, it's difficult. I know you don't want to look at it. You don't want to accept it. I used to have a really good mentor who would say frequently, if it came out of you, that's because it's in you. So if it's coming up, it's there. But if it's coming up, that's great, because it's coming up so that you can release it. You can heal it and transmute it. These activities, these things that we do, these behaviors, these thoughts that we exhibit, sometimes that are not pretty, they are coming out of woundedness. They're coming out of things that occurred, that we were hurt at some point, we were wounded. We live in this, it's the result of living on this earth and having a human experience. We've all been hurt. We've all had parents or friends or relatives or whoever, loved ones, mates, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, who have caused us pain. Most of the time, unintentionally, they've done this, but it's wounded us. And so when we've not resolved those wounds, it causes us to be reactionary. The beauty of what's happening right now is that all of that stuff is coming up. I know it does not feel good. I understand that. But this spiritual, this emotional healing journey, it's a workout. It's like being in a gym. You know, when you first start your workout, it's painful. It's difficult. You're winded. You're fatigued. It's not easy. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And these concepts about dealing with this shadow self is the same. The more that we are able to allow it to come into our awareness, and we're able to embrace it, take responsibility, release the guilt and shame, and transmute it and let it heal, the easier it becomes for us to do that going forward on each occasion. So the first thing that I recommend is just embrace it, accept it, love it as part of your experience, love it as part of who you are at this time in your journey. You've probably heard it said, I've said this before, what you resist will persist. What I like to say is, what you embrace, you can erase. If you will embrace this as part of your experience, you can erase it from your experience and from your life. And then you can provide more space and more room to be that universal divine love consciousness that you already are. It's just removing the blocks that prevent us from being able to realize that and become it and walk in it and understand it at a deeper level. So that is how you're going to be able to do that. Some of the ways. There are other things, but this video is running on long already, so I want to cut it short. If you have any questions for me regarding that, please, please, please put them in the comment section. You can inbox me, you can message me. You can also call me at my business line, which is 720-990-9769. Please do not text me at that number because I do not receive text there, but you can feel free to call me. If I'm not available, please leave a message. And now what I want to talk to you about is some exciting things that are going on. And that is that on every Tuesday, I will be doing live videos with Sacred Uprising Institute. This is a wonderful group of spiritual teachers, mentors, coaches, and people who have just had experiences that will enrich you and help serve you on this path along your life. And I'm honored to be a part of this group, and I encourage you to check out their page on Facebook. I encourage you to look for the live on Tuesdays. I will be doing mine at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's lunchtime. It's my lunchtime because I do have another job. So it's your lunchtime hopefully as well. If so, you can catch that. It's about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. And if you miss that, that's fine. It'll be posted on my page, on my Live Inspired Facebook page, and also on my personal page. So you can always watch it later if you want to. But I also encourage you to go on to Sacred Uprising's page to see some of the other people who are on there. I know most of them personally, and I will vouch for their character and their integrity, the ones that I know. And Trisha, because I don't think she runs the site. I don't think she'd have anybody on there who isn't a person of integrity, because I know her spirit. Her spirit and mine are very much aligned. So I encourage you to do that. I also encourage you to look on my page regularly. I have some conferences coming up. I have 2 right now scheduled coming up this year, and I'll be having some other events coming up throughout the course of the year that I'm very, very excited to be bringing to you. So I hope this video has been useful for you. If you want to, just leave a comment and say hi. I've missed being here and interacting with you all, so I would really like that as well. If you like what you're seeing here, please feel free to share it with others so that it might be useful for them as well. Next week, I will be doing another video that's going to be geared towards those of us who often find that we aggravate the shadow side of others. And what I mean by that is there are some of us who, when we get in the presence of others, their shadow side comes to the fore. And very often when that happens, they'll project it onto you, like we talked about. Because they haven't dealt with their shadow side, they'll project that onto you. And you are one of those people, you will know it, because if you're one of those people, you are conscious of what's happening. You're sitting there going, they're saying this to me and they're reacting to me this way, but that's not what I'm thinking. That's not how I'm behaving. Or you'll just know, they're projecting onto me right now. That's really interesting. It can be a challenging thing to live with and to move through. So I'm going to be doing a video giving you some tips and tools on how to navigate that if you are that person. If you're the person who consistently feels like you know someone's projecting onto you, or your behaviors are consistently being misread, misunderstood, or attitudes, thoughts, and actions are being attributed to you by others that you know are not yours, or that haven't been thoughts or activities you've done for a very long time at least. I have a video for you that will help you be able to navigate through this time that you're going through. So, thank you so much for joining me. It has been so great to be here with you. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is. And of course, as always, may you ever live inspired. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.